get one thing straight. Load shedding isn't just an inconvenience. It's not about a few hours without power so you can light some romantic candles and pretend you're in the time of Neanderthal or something. No, load shedding is a multi-million rand conspiracy designed to keep you broke, powerless, and as dependent as your mother when she wants you to do the dishes. And before you say summer, Eskom is trying its best, save that excuse for someone who believes in that fairy tale, because this isn't Sleeping Beauty. This is South Africa, where power cuts are as common as potholes in Joburg and as common as Kanyimbawe having a new boyfriend. Here's the thing, Eskom's excuses are so ridiculous. They make your ex's explanations for ghosting you look like gospel truth. Load shedding is not a mistake. It's carefully orchestrated, a carefully orchestrated cycle. They turn the entire country into a living, breathing reality show called Survivor South Africa Powerless Edition. And guess what? We are all unwilling contestants. Part 1. The history of load shedding, or should I say, load scamming. To understand how load shedding became the greatest scam in South African history, we first need to rewind to the early 2000s. Yeah, those days, back when Mzege was still singing and Eskom was the golden child of African infrastructure. The time when South Africa was hosting world-class sporting events and exporting electricity to neighboring countries. Oh yeah, Eskom had so much power, they were practically handing it out like free samples at Woolworths. But instead of maintaining this incredible energy grind, the geniuses in charge thought, why fix what isn't broken? Let's gamble it all on outdated coal power stations that break down faster than your grandmother's Nokia phone. And then came the excuses, right? The excuses. Let me break them down for you to put you on game real quick. Excuse 1. The population is growing too fast. Wait, so you're telling me that the government didn't plan for this? Did they think the people were just going to stop making kids all of a sudden? Was there some secret meeting where they said, guys, let's assume everyone will celebrate by 2020? Population growth is not a surprise. It's biology, it's science, it's not a plot twist from Game of Thrones or Uzalo. Excuse 2. Yeah, but Chama, we need more money for maintenance. This one always strikes me in the wrong nerve because every year billions are allocated to Eskom to make maintenance. But somehow the money disappears faster than airtime during a phone call with your talkative aunt. Did the maintenance budget accidentally end up funding someone's luxury yacht collection? Because the only thing that's being maintained is the lifestyles of those at the top. Tell me if I'm wrong. Excuse 3. It's the fault of the aging infrastructure. Okay, fair enough, things do age. But why hasn't this been addressed decades ago? If your roof starts leaking, do you wait until the entire house floods to fix it? You address the problem early, but Eskom, nah. They're the type of girl to let the house collapse and then ask you for donations to rebuild it, or she's gonna leave you and file for divorce. Part 2. Why load shedding is the best scam. Here's why load shedding isn't just a scam. It's a masterpiece of deception. I want to paint you a picture. Imagine you walk into KFC. You're starving and you order a bucket of chicken. You pay full price and you eagerly open that box because you are starving. But instead of golden crispy chicken, you find a bucket of ice and a note that says fuck yourself. And the cashier looks at you and says, sorry, we're out of chicken right now. Come back in 6 hours or 7. Naturally, you ask for a refund, right? And then they reply, pay us more so that we might consider upgrading our chicken machines. That right there is Eskom in a nutshell. We're paying for electricity, but we're getting blackouts. And instead of fixing the problem, they tell us to be patient. Meanwhile, the CEOs are sipping cocktails in Mauritius, probably laughing about how gullible we all are. And the stages, right? Stage 1, Stage 4, Stage 6, Stage 8. What's next? Stage Infinity? Where they just permanently switch off the grid and hand us all candles. The way Eskom has gamified power cuts is almost really impressive. As a gamer myself, it's like they're running a national lottery where the prize is electricity for 2 hours. But here's the kicker. Load shedding doesn't just inconvenience us, it actively destroys lives. Small businesses close because they can't afford generators. Students fail exams because they can't study in the dark. It's not possible. Hospitals rely on backup power to save lives. Not everyone has X-ray vision. So, and through it all, Eskom keeps asking for money too. They've somehow managed to scam an entire country while being completely transparent about it. That right there is next level hustling. Part 3 is the impact on ordinary South Africans. Let's talk about the real victims of a load shedding, right? Of load shedding. You, me, and every other person who lives in South Africa who's been forced to adapt to this madness. We've become survivalists out of necessity. Generators and inverters have become the new iPhones. Everyone wants one, but not everyone can afford one. Candles, once a romantic accessory, are now a household staple. And power banks, well, if you don't own one, you might as well be living in the Stone Age, because at this point, businesses are suffering too. Imagine being a hairdresser, for example, and then you have to explain to a client that their haircut will be done in two parts, before and after the blackout. Or running a coffee shop where customers must pay 50 Rand for a cappuccino and 500 Rand to charge their phones. It's absurd. It's almost as absurd as when The Rock said he was going to face Cody Rhodes this year at WrestleMania. That was just nonsense. And let's not forget about the psychological toll it has on all of us. Load shedding has made us all paranoid. Right, we check the schedule religiously, we plan our lives around it, and even cancel plans because stage 6 is coming. So like living in a dystopian movie, except there's no hero coming to save us. Forget Jesus, it's stage 6 that's coming for all of us. Part 4. Why no other scam can compare. Eskom's load shedding scam isn't just the best scam in South African history. It might be the best scam the world has ever seen. Here's why. I want to compare to other legendary scams. Number 1, the Nigerian prince email scam. At least that Nigerian prince offered you the illusion of hope. They tell you that millions are waiting for you. Eskom doesn't even bother with that. They just give you darkness and a stage 8 schedule. 2, you might say pyramid schemes work better. Sure, you lose money in a pyramid scheme, but at least you get to attend cool seminars with PowerPoint presentations. Eskom doesn't even give you that. All they offer is frustration and candlelit dinners. Number 3, fake lotto scams. Yes, even fake lotto scams send you fake winning tickets. You wanna know what Eskom does? It sends you an electricity bill for power you didn't even use. Eskom scam is so unique because it's institutionalized. It's convinced an entire nation that their failure is normal, their power failure is normal, and the best part, we are paying them to scam us. It's actually really genius if you ask me. I'm actually really triggered about this. So here's part 5, the way forward. Because I'm sure you're asking, so what's the solution, Summer? Waiting for Eskom to fix itself? That's like waiting for the South African post office to deliver a parcel on time. It's just not gonna happen. If you want to escape the scam, you need to take matters into your own hands. Number 1, invest in solar power. Yes, it's expensive upfront, but think of it as freedom. Right, with solar panels, you're no longer a victim of Eskom's incompetence. You're taking control of your energy future. Right, number 2, buy an inverter or a generator. Consider it an investment in your sanity. Sure, it's not a permanent solution, but at least it keeps the lights on when you need them most. Number 3 is support renewable energy initiatives. Because the more we shift towards green energy, the less power Eskom will have over you and me, literally and figuratively. This isn't just about keeping the lights on. It's really about reclaiming your power and refusing to let Eskom dictate how your life is gonna go. Because let's be real, if we don't take action, the only thing Eskom will power is your frustration. So the next time you sitting there in the darkness, remember this. Load shedding is not just Eskom's failure. It's their strategy. But you don't have to be a victim. Take control of your energy future. Invest in solutions and leave Eskom in the dust. Congratulations if you made it this far. While most of South Africa is losing because of load shedding, let's talk about the hidden winners, the people and the organizations profiting from the chaos. Because for every scam, there's a puppet master pulling the strings, as you know, raking in profits while the rest of us scramble to survive. Number 1 is the generator and inverter industry. Those are benefiting if you ask me. When load shedding started, companies selling generators and inverters were like vultures circling a dying animal. They were like Dominic Mysterio in 2023. It's no coincidence that the demand for alternative power sources skyrocketed. If you owned a generator business in South Africa pre-load shedding, you're probably sipping mojitos on a yacht right now. But think about it. Why hasn't Eskom partnered with these businesses to subsidize solutions for citizens? Oh wait, I know. Because keeping people desperate and dependent means these industries will keep cashing in. That is the perfect symbiotic relationship. Eskom fails and these companies thrive. And those running Eskom get money too. Number 2 is the diesel suppliers. Diesel is the lifeline for Eskom's emergency measures like running those expensive open cycle gas turbines. And guess what? Someone has to supply that diesel. These suppliers are making billions every single year, while Eskom overspends and passes the costs on to us. The kicker? A lot of these suppliers have political connections. Coincidence? Nah, I don't think so. And tell me if I'm telling lies. But if you dig deep like me, you'll find that load shedding isn't just a failure. It's a lucrative opportunity for those with the right contacts and connections. Eskom's reliance on diesel isn't an accident. It's a hell of a business deal. Number 3 is this battery storage innovators. Battery storage is becoming the new gold rush. Tesla, Powerwalls, Chinese battery imports, and other storage solutions have flooded the market, making entrepreneurs in this sector ridiculously wealthy. And South Africa has become the testing ground for off-grid innovation. Why? Because we have no fucking choice. If you want consistent power, you either adapt or you get left behind. The irony of it all? Well, while Eskom struggles to power the country, South Africans are innovating in ways that could revolutionize energy globally. Imagine if Eskom had embraced these solutions instead of clinging to outdated systems like coal power stations. Number 4, politicians and executives. Let's not mince words here. Corruption thrives in chaos, and load shedding is the perfect storm. Contracts for coal supply, diesel procurement, and consulting fees are often overinflated. And when accountability is demanded, it's met with excuses, denials, and endless investigations that lead to nowhere. Remember, every stage of load shedding isn't just a reflection of Eskom's incompetence. It's a money printing machine for those in power. Every blackout represents millions in lost productivity for the country, but millions gained by those exploiting the system. Now here's the psychological game they're playing, right? How they keep you in the dark, both literally and figuratively. Because now I want to dive in the psychological manipulation behind load shedding. Because it's not just a scam, it's a well-crafted psychological game designed to break your spirit and keep you complacent. Number 1 is normalizing the abnormal. Stage 6 load shedding? Oh well, it's just another day in South Africa, am I right? The government has normalized something that should be unacceptable. By slowly increasing the frequency and severity of power cuts, they've conditioned us to accept it as a part of life. How is that normal? And then when we do get a few hours of power, we're supposed to be grateful. That is psychological warfare 101. And number 2 is the illusion of progress they love to give us, because Eskom loves to announce bold plans to fix the new grid, new power stations, renewable energy projects, or strategies to reduce load shedding. But where are the results, if I may ask? It's all smoke and mirrors. The illusion of progress keeps the public hopeful, ensuring we don't revolt. Meanwhile, the situation worsens. Number 3 is dividing the population. Have you noticed how load shedding impacts people differently? Wealthier neighborhoods have generators and solar panels, while the poorer communities sit in the dark. The dark! This division ensures there is no unified progress. So if you're personally affected, you're less likely to demand change. Divide and conquer. It's a classic strategy. And here's the bigger picture. Because is load shedding a global experiment? Here's a theory no one else tells you. For you conspiracy lovers, what if load shedding isn't just a South African issue? What if we're the guinea pigs for a global experiment in controlled energy rationing? Sounds crazy? Hear me out for a second. 1. The first reason I say this is because of the global energy crisis. Countries around the world are facing energy challenges. Fossil fuels are being phased out. Renewable energy isn't scaling fast enough and grids are aging. South Africa's load shedding might just be a canary in the coal mine for a global trend. If they can make us accept rolling blackouts, what the heck is stopping other governments from doing the same? Number 2 is the testing compliance they've given us. Load shedding is a brilliant way to test how far a population can be pushed before they snap. If South Africans can endure years of power cuts without mass protesting or uprisings, it sets a precedent. Other countries can look at our situation and think, if they can live with it, well then so can our citizens. Number 3 is economic exploitation. Because by keeping us in the dark, literally, they create a dependency on external solutions like solar panels, batteries, generators, all imported. Load shedding could be part of a larger scheme to keep developing nations like ours economically enslaved to global corporations. So what can we learn from the scam? What can we learn from all this farce writing? Every scam has a lesson and load shedding is no exception, and here's what we can take away. Number 1 is that self-reliance is key. You need to stop waiting for the government to fix this mess, because the sooner you take control of your energy needs, the better. Whether it's solar panels, whether it's inverters, or a backup generator. Just invest in your independence. Number 2 is to stay informed. Knowledge is power. Ironically, the one thing Eskom cannot provide. Understand the causes of load shedding, the players involved, and the alternatives available, like in a soccer game. Because the more you know, the less you can be manipulated, right? Number 3 is you need to demand accountability for once. Hold leaders accountable, whether it's through petitions, protests, or simply voting for change like you guys always do. Make your voice heard. Complacency is what allows scams like this to thrive. And if you've watched until this point, you're not just a viewer. You are part of the solution. The fact that you've taken the time to educate yourself shows you are ready to reclaim your power, both figuratively and literally. And to those still doubting, you must ask yourself this: who benefits from load shedding? Spoiler alert, it's not you. It's time to stop being a victim of this scam you've been fighting for years, and you need to start fighting back. So thank you for sticking around. You're the reason I make content like this, and I'll keep exposing the truth as long as there's darkness to shine a light on, and as long as they don't have a bullet on my head saying summer stop. Until next time, stay awake, stay powerful, and remember, the system cannot scam you and me if you beat it at its own game. And if anyone from Eskom is watching this, let me just say, thank you. Because without your incompetence, I wouldn't have this content and so many people watching me. But don't worry, I won't need your electricity at all for long, because solar panels are on the way. And when that day comes, I'll be the one laughing in the light like David Gennaro while you sit in the dark. So long, you corrupt motherfucker.